All right, Derek. So for those that have just maybe come across S&P, maybe they have a friend that's had it done, they've seen someone
Right.
with it and they're interested. I know there's a lot of information online. Some of it is contradictory, some of it doesn't make sense. So hopefully we can dispel some of the myths and give a little bit more context onto what the S&P process looks like.
Right.
Real quick, just high level for someone that hasn't been across this. How many sessions is it typically going to take to get the results that they see, on our website, on our Instagram, and how many days in between those sessions, and what can maybe affect if someone has X amount of sessions versus, more sessions?
Right, right. Well, every canvas is unique in its own manner, and I feel I see comfortably 2 to 4 sessions is what I'm typically seeing it takes to
Right.
really complete a treatment session. I like to see 10 to 14 days in between treatments. 14 days is ideal because it really gives time for the skin to heal, let the body do its epidermal skin renewal. Plus, it's great time for the client to really sit back with the treatment, see the whole transformation, the journey, trusting the process, and just getting an idea of what it feels like, to have a semblance of a hairline again. Because, at least for me, it was almost 20 years of no hairline. And, after my first treatment, I'm like, whoa, this
Could
is
be a shock.
time to, process like I have this face frame.
I usually tell clients after the first session to have someone else drive them home because they're going to be wanting to look in the rearview mirror the whole time. They don't want to cause accidents out there. So
One, I remember when you handed me the mirror after my first, I couldn't even see my reflection, if that made sense. It was just hard for my brain to kind of process the reflection at that
I
time.
looked up, yeah.
Yeah, and I really think 2 weeks is a good amount of time for that person to kind of sit with it.
And also the healing aspect. So,
Yeah,
like you mentioned, and I agree with you. Usually it's 2 to 4 sessions. Most are seeing a really great result after 2 sessions, and then from there we can fine tune and add as needed.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I like that 2 week range. We can maybe shorten it a bit. You can also elongate it a bit, but that 2 week range is really great because it allows the inflammation of the skin to settle down, any bit of healing and curing of the pigment, so that when they come back, we have a nice, clean, healthy scalp so that we can then layer in. And we'll talk a little bit more about what each session looks like, but then we can layer in that extra density and make those adjustments. So what can someone, if they're coming in for their first session, they've had a consultation with us, whether that's phone or they've stopped in to your LA clinic, us in New York, or one of our locations, what can they expect on that first session? When they walk in, they're obviously going to fill out some paperwork, and then what does that first session look like in terms of what you're doing, and then what they can expect right after session?
A good way to put it is, it's going to be going to come in. We're really just going to sit down and talk a little bit about the goals and aspirations of what the client's looking for, and then obviously we're going to have to offer our expertise. I mean, that's why we are in the position that we're in, and we're going to have to give them a really high level idea of placements of hairlines, things like that, color theory. We kind of break everything down for the client just so there's that understanding, because they're not going to look like us right after a first session. It just doesn't work that way. The first session, just expect a light dusting, something very conservative, which I think most of our clients, I mean, Matt, you could agree with me, is they don't want anything too aggressive. They don't want anything to look too dark or dense or manufactured. And they want to come in and just see something just enough to where
Right.
they
Well, we'll get there, right, over
Right,
those
right.
course of those 2 or 3 sessions. The first, it's important, it's super important, and you will see maybe in some cases a really distinct difference, but it's still not over the top. I mean, it will never be over the top, but it's still not as intense or as full and completed as what we'll see after those 2 or 3 sessions. And that's a good thing, and we'll touch on why, but that's a good thing. So yeah, like you said, that first session is really kind of laying I always say, this is my metaphor, we all have our metaphors. My metaphor is like, you put your base coat down,
Right.
whether you're painting a wall, priming a car, whatever it is, you got to put your initial coating down and let that heal, so then you can see how how it's healed, what the vibrancy looks like, how the color's retaining, and there's a lot of safety protocols involved in what we do. So yeah, you'll walk away from a first session, I always say excited, impressed, kind of teased with what this is going to be.
Yeah.
But that second session is really important. So maybe talk about, they come back 2 weeks later. Why is that second session so fun? Why is it so important? What are you usually doing?
Yeah, once they come in for the second session, I like asking them, hey, how'd you feel? What was it like? Talk to me. How'd you heal? Any flaking, itching? I like to hear it from, their perspective of they have seen anything that may have been, a little bit unique, any different looks from people. Did anybody notice? And at that point, I think it's when we kind of sit back, analyze, the frame and talk about colors and what are we going to do as far as application of density, depending on their situation of hair loss. Do they have a strong crown in the back? Do they have a significant difference from native hair to empty skin on their empty scalp up top? So these are things that we have to, really work for on a second session to just bring that color, that dimension, that real wow factor. And I think the second session is what really wows people over. It's like, holy smokes.
I call it the holy shit session.
Yeah.
You look in the mirror and go, holy shit.
Holy shit.
What a
Yeah.
difference.
And I love when someone says, I don't want to see it till the end of the second session. You know what I mean? It's like, that's my favorite time, because it's awesome just to see the reactions of people when, they kind of see themselves for the first time with a frame and they're like, holy shit, this is like a time I got in, Back to the Future, took me back 10, 15 years and awesome. And that second session, I think it's good for us. They're going to say, do I need a third? What's next? Hey, let's live with this. Let's see what happens. Let's take a couple weeks. I like taking 30 days. Take 30 days. Walk around with it, wear it. Then
even more sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, even more. And like you said, because that second session is we're adding that additional density, which really tightens up the follicular look.
Right.
Make sure that it's more closely matching the density of their existing hair. They've now pretty much at most of the times have finalized where their hairline is and the shape of it and the detail of it. So it really is. And especially for the low Norwood, something we could talk about is what really determines the amount of sessions. There's a few things, whether it's 2, 3, maybe 4 sessions is really going to be on your Norwood level. So how much area are we covering? Right. Are you completely bald up top, or do you still have a lot of hair where the S&P is just going to be kind of a complement to that and there's less variable fading? Are you someone that wants it as dark and strong and dense as possible, as realistic, or are you someone that wants a bit of a lighter, more subtle look? That's all going to determine whether it's a 2-session, 3-session journey for you. And so I agree with you. I usually say after the second, go live with this for a month, a couple months. Let's let it fully heal up and then see if we need to put that final, tweak on it. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Usually that's what I call the fine tuning session.
Yeah.
What do you like about that third session? What are you usually accomplishing?
That's a good point or part for us to kind of talk through that with them as well. Let's see how it heals up. Take some time to live with it and wear it and feel it and get used to it. See if there's any people that notice any changes or any shape. And again, I think what most people get, the response isn't, what'd you do to your head? It's, hey, you look younger. What are you doing differently? Hey, did you do something different with your beard? Did you whiten your teeth?
You lose weight.
And you working out? What are you doing, man? You look good. So I think for folks to kind of live with that a little bit and, they'll know. I think clients will know. You'll know as an individual, hey, I think I want to go a little bit darker. Hey, I think I want to do a little bit more, finagling at the hairline. And we're here. That's what we're here for. Matt and I, the team, we're here for that phone call. We could set up another consultation. You could send some photos in to one of the admins, and we'll take a look and we'll give our unbiased opinion on what we think.
Yeah, I like that there, because if you think about it this way, it's kind of a last scan of the scalp to make sure every piece is every puzzle piece is exactly where it's needed. Everything is blended exactly, because again, skin, it's very important for everyone to know, we're dealing with skin. That's what the pigment is being placed into, and skin is the largest organ. It's the most, variable in many ways. Some people have oilier skin, dry skin, like you mentioned. So it's good to see how the skin evolves and how the pigment evolves over the course of those weeks that you're doing the treatment journey with us. And so I look at like whether it's a second or a third session, this is kind of your last visit with us until we set you off into beautiful hair heaven for the next 4 or 5 years, until you return for maybe a touch up down the line. So we want to make sure that we're shipping you off with your best foot forward, or best where's my pun, best head forward. There you go. We're pretty corny here. Derek's actually very corny. Maybe we'll have some highlights of some of his corny pieces of wisdom. But so very good. So I think we've established here that most clients are going to look for 2, 3 sessions if they have a lot of scarring from hair transplantation, or maybe some very difficult skin or an underlying skin condition. It's possible a 4th session within that, 2-month time might be needed. But for most, 2 to 3 sessions, and many, at least what we're seeing now, because we are, very experienced with this, we understand skin. After 2 sessions, many of these clients can really expect what looks like a finished product, more or less, and for some it is. Mm-hmm. But others might be watching this and going, come on, man, we can't just do this in one session, or I want, I know I want a low hairline and I want it freaking dark, like just go to the balls to the wall, like just dump the ink on my head, let's go. Why do we need to do 2 or 3 sessions? I want this done and over. We need to explain, and this is very important because some practitioners don't explain this, why it's so important that we're not just doing this 2 or 3 session process because it's good for our health, because it helps our business in some way. There's a reason that this is done over multiple sessions. Mm-hmm. Safety being one of them. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why is this the safest way to apply the SMP treatment?
We want this to be as natural. This is a tattoo or a cosmetic procedure we're getting that we don't want people to know, right? So exactly. I think from a safety perspective, not only do we want to give time for the scalp to heal, things to kind of settle in, whatever skin conditions that someone might be dealing with, immune systems, whatever it is, we want to make sure that this is a nice, clean, safe environment for impressions to land on, but also for your scalp to heal. And I think too much aggressive pressure, too much aggressive density, too dark, too fast, too much, it's only going to cause just deeper problems than just a bad treatment.
If someone's trying to get the job done too quick, you're obviously going too dark with the ink, which, if they don't know how that's healing, if you're not visiting for a second session, if you're not allowing room to adjust that, there's less room for error. It's always, what do we always say? It's always easier to go darker with the pigment shade and to add more density than to reverse it. So I think, you're oversaturating, which, doing that early on a first session, it leads to a lot of problems and a lot of no room for error at that point.
Right. No room at all for anything ever again. And not only is it unhealthy for the skin, it's also an unhealthy looking treatment. And, here you are as a client going in to get an insecurity taken care of, and then you end up leaving in a worse situation than you were, and that's because you didn't want to trust the process. And these are the guys that come back to us and say, hey, you know what, I should have trusted what you guys told me about taking time in between sessions, spacing them out, 2-3 sessions, instead of this guy who said, hey, I could get it all done in one treatment session, and, you literally leave all beat up and,
Yeah, I'd like to even step back and say, hey, like the question I asked was, why do we do it over the course of 2 or 3 sessions? And obviously safety is the number one, but I even start from the beginning. It has to be done over a few sessions just by default, because think about it. We go back to like skin, right? Even if we wanted to go, Wild West cowboy on your scalp, the skin's going to heal. And it's going to heal in ways that might be just as we left it, but typically not. Usually what you're going to have is areas that hold and retain pigment a little better than others. Some areas that maybe held well, some that faded. So even if we went very dense, you're still going to have the skin go through its healing process, and there's going to be areas that need to get touched up or add color. If you oversaturate the scalp, you have no room to do that. So skin healing is always going to happen. By going too dense, you just lose that ability to make adjustments and to also grow into this. And I would say another great feature, and I think it's a feature, not a bug, that this is done over 2, 3, 4 sessions, is that it allows the client, like we mentioned earlier, to grow into the look and to stay in control of their journey and their end result. Because they may start a little timid and want to be super conservative, but as they gain confidence both in the results that are occurring and in you as a practitioner, they're going to understand, oh, I could actually drop that hairline a little more. Oh, I get it. It looks very real. It looks very natural. I actually do want it a little darker. They'll have the opportunity to do that and see that. If you're just doing 1 session, maybe 2 sessions, you're not really getting that ability to grow into it. And so you better hope you made the right, choices with your hairline selection, color selection, all that stuff on the first session, because, that's it. And that's not the way we're going to do it. So
no, absolutely not. Yeah. And I mean, I think what's awesome too, clients will call, check in, I'll check in on my guys, you check in on your guys. We're all connected on social. I think the best feeling is when someone reaches back out and says, "Hey, dude, like, I'm so happy this took place over 3 sessions. Like, it really, now I understand. I trusted the process. Like, this journey has been wonderful. You know, we didn't go too aggressive too quickly. It gave me an opportunity to just kind of, you know, feel things, live life, liberated, you know, not wear the hat as much." I mean, it gives people a chance to just, I don't know, like you said, just grow into the look. So it really, you're doing a disservice to the client, to your work, to the industry by trying to do too much in one session in 2 hours to just get some money and bring on the next guy for throughput. It shouldn't be done like that.
Hey man, I Rome wasn't built in a day. Either is going to be your hairline. So I
100%.
agree. I hope again everyone found this informative. I would say leave any questions you have for Derek and I or the Scalp Micro USA team. Put those in the comments. We'll drop our Instagram handles as well so that you can follow us if you aren't already. And, you know, Derek's out in LA. He's got a great team. Derek, Brad out in LA. I have a great team here in New York. We also have locations in Houston, Chicago, and Florida. So if you're looking for a free consultation, whether that's on the phone or in person, you want to go meet with the big man out on the west side or put a coat on and come see me in January here in New York, we're ready for you. So Derek, man, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We got some football on.
Yeah.
And also happy, not really belated, it was yesterday, but happy birthday, old man.
Oh, thanks.
So that you still looking good as you age. You're ageless because of that hairline, man.
43 years old. Yeah, they ask me, how do you look so
Hey,
young?
you said it,
It's-
not me, but
It's the hairline, compliments of Matt. It's the porcelain teeth and a spray tan. So
look at that. You get full disclosure here, and we don't hold anything back. So
that's it. That's it. Full disclosure.
all right, man. It was great seeing you. I'll be out there soon. Thank you,
Cool.
everyone. We'll do more of these, and we'll see you guys soon.
Adios, everyone.